Welcome back to Fast Market here on the TD Ameritrade Network. We're talking booze, and that's Constellation Brands. Let's bring in our next guest for our cash tag segment. That's going to be Landon Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio. Landon, I'm speaking like I've already been drinking here, but you know, when you look at this stock, it's recovered quite a bit over the last couple of months here, and it seems to be taking market share away from the missteps from Budweiser and their Bud Light brand here at this point. But when you look at Constellation Brands, you know, it's all about booze, but beer is definitely been their growth engine lately, right?
Absolutely. It's about 77% of their sales, and you know, beer's doing very well. Wine is a much smaller portion. I think beer actually, on their last revenue report, beer was down about 2% year over year on that report. High expectations, though, on this report. Everyone thinks that their brands are going to be doing much better. So beer is what we're going to focus on, I think, even though it's only 3/4, I guess, almost the whole company, but not quite the whole company. Their Modelo brand just took the #1 spot from Bud Light, up about 9%. On a year-over-year basis. And you can see here that they've got a tailwind. People are talking about beer more than they were a year ago. And you can kind of see the, you know, the summer cyclicality a little bit here, seasonality. But I think part of this discussion around beer has just been fueled by Bud Light. I mean, they've definitely stirred the pot a little bit, and Constellation's Brands is in a good position to take advantage of what you said, you know, misstep. I agree. So when you look at this as a tailwind, I'm not sure if people are necessarily buying more beer. They're certainly talking about more beer. But when you look at the happiness of these two companies, it is an unbelievable contrast. I mean, these are very, very closely aligned companies when it comes to what their offerings are. And to see a difference this big in consumer happiness, and again, this is for all brands encompassing the entire company, right? So this is not just the Bud Light brand represented there by BUD. That's their ticker symbol. That's all of their brands. So aggregate, their happiness is 42%, which is, you know, for a beer company, it should be really high. Generally speaking, alcohol and those kind of things should have high happiness levels. I would even argue that 71 is not high enough for Constellation's Brands, but it is a huge stark difference. And you know, we've been tracking that with Bud Light since the beginning. I mean, they had the largest negative spike that we've ever seen in LikeFolio history, and there were some big ones back in the day. I mean, there was, you know, the Southwest cancellations, the Snapchat interface upgrade or downgrade. There's a lot of things that caused huge negative spikes, but Bud Light takes the cake as the #1 in LikeFolio history, and it's just been a very, very sharp turn, and it's lasted. I mean, this was April that it started, and it's still going on. So this is just opening the door for all of the competitors, and Constellation Brand is doing a great job of taking advantage. All of their big brands, Modelo, Corona, Pacifico, all of those are expected to be up significantly on a year-over-year basis. My question as far as the stock goes, though, is, you know, we're pushing up against this $250 level, right? I think we're about 247, something like that right now, up about 8% on a year-over-year or a year-to-date basis. I know that expectations are high. LikeFolio data is fairly positive on Constellation Brands. We're in the, I think, plus 22 on the earnings score. So we're bullish, not crazy bullish, but bullish. I just wonder if expectations are a little too high with that sort of resistance level, that 250. So we'll see how they react, but the door's wide open, and they're definitely walking through it.
You know, Landon, I look at the numbers for the 4 weeks ending June 3rd. Bud Light down 24.6%, Modelo up 10.2%. So there's clear winners and losers here. And you know, this is a cautionary tale for all businesses that all CEOs should be listened to. Remember, this is not a political show, so we're going to keep this not political. But it was the great philosopher Michael Jordan that once said, Republicans buy gym shoes too. And the cautionary tale there is, it doesn't matter what your politics are. Stay out of it, right? Just be neutral on this and give your product so everyone wants to buy it. Isn't that really the message here? Don't pick either side, no matter what you... Tom has political beliefs. I have political beliefs. Don't show them in business. Isn't that really the tale here?
I think so. I think, you know, it's kind of a phenomenon. When I meet new people in business or whatever, even social situations, I kind of assume the best and until they prove me otherwise, or prove me wrong. And I think the same can be said about business. If you're a big company, people don't really think of politics when it comes to your product. They think of what their product gives to you, why they want to buy your product, how they're going to use it, all of that. They think of it as a transaction. But then when you inject your politics into that whole decision-making process, especially nowadays, you're risking alienating, 40, 50, 60%, depending on which way you go, of your audience. And it's just, there's no gain. Like, you're not going to sell extra because you decided to plant your flag in the ground. I think it's a great cautionary tale, absolutely. And it's weird because we've seen it happen with several companies now. I think that Bud Light's the most highlighted with the spotlight of what happened, but we've seen other companies with Target, even Starbucks, and they're all you can kind of see that the way that they reacted, they see what happened with Bud Light, and they're kind of tiptoeing around it a little bit. And I think corporations in general are getting the message, agreed, don't be political.
They continue to touch the hot stove, Tom.
Yep. Don't touch that.
Don't touch that.
But Landon, when you look at this type of business, we've seen a massive rally. Constellation Brands was trading in the low 200s just a few months ago. It's back above, near or just below 250 at this point. When you look at this, does seasonality come into play as far as your data goes? And when you see a run up like this in a stock that you've got good data on, does it make you cautious?
Yeah, so it's seasonality, absolutely. Most companies have some seasonality within them. Beers definitely do. I mean, it's summertime is a better time to sell beers, for sure. And we see that in all of our data. So everything that we do looks at a year-over-year basis. If we were quarter-over-quarter, I'd be slamming the table talking about how you need to buy this company right now. But we're not. We're year-over-year because we know that it's very cyclical. And so the fact that these brands are all up on a year-over-year basis, and we've got Bud Light on a very downward trajectory on a year-over-year basis, gives us a very clear signal of which way the market's moved. They're taking market share. They're doing better. I don't know if they would have done better without Bud Light's mess-ups. If it was just business as usual, then I'm not really sure. It's hard to see. But I can definitely say that the way things are right now, they're up on a year-over-year basis, and things are looking good, not just on the purchase intent and mentions, but also on the happiness. I mean, it's very strong numbers, especially compared to their competition. So, we're bullish. I think that a lot of people are bullish, though. I prefer to be contrarian. I think there's easier money being contrarian, but in this case, I think it's pretty clear that we're bullish. Markets are likely bullish. The expectations are high, so we'll see. I think everyone's kind of expecting a pretty good report from them. Whether or not the market reacts extremely positively to that, we'll have to wait and see. But for the next 2-3 months, I'm definitely bullish on this company. Yeah,
and just in May, Modelo overtook Bud Light as the best-selling beer in the U.S.
My numbers are up, Tom. Yeah. All I can do is speak for myself as a consumer. My numbers are up in the summer.
It's summertime. Who doesn't want a cold beer on a every day? All right, Landon, appreciate it. Have a good day. Thanks for the data.
Absolutely, guys. Take care.